Welcome to Beaded Doilies by Shell. In this video I will be creating one of my faceted bead art letter squares, and I will be using a version of the one needle right angle weave. When using the one needle right angle weave, you want, with the faceted bead art patterns, you want to start with this bead here, and then you can go either this direction or this direction. I'm going to go this way. And you'll add your first 4 beads. I'll be using mint for my background color. Now let the 4 beads drop down to your bead stopper, which I just used tape with my monofilament line. Then you find that first bead again and you thread through it, going the same direction as the first threading. And there you have your first 4 beads. Now, depending on which direction you went, you're going to want to add your next 4 beads. It'll be on the same side as the second bead you added. So you might want to number your first set of beads. That way you can remember which side you're on and you can know which direction to add your next 4. So that here we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4. And if your 2 is over here, you would add 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need 4 more background color. Now you find that first bead you added for this set again, and you go through it in the same direction. There we have our first 2 sets of beads. Now we want to add 2 beads to our string. This time they'll be design color. Then we come down and we look at our beads, and we want the tape's a little bit in the way. We want this to lay like this, so we want to go through the bead that our string is end of our string is coming out of. I'm going to go through it, and then we want to go through the bead that our working string is coming out of. And there we have those 2 attached. And to prepare for the next set of beads, we want to go through that first bead of the 2 we added. That's these. Now we're going to add the last 3 for this row. Now this will, oh wait, I'm doing it the wrong direction. You need to be careful which side your string is coming out of. My string's coming out away from the first row, so I actually want to make this number 1, 2, and 3. So we need 3 background colors. Bring it down. Then we find the bead that our string is coming out of, and we go through it in the so that our string is coming out on the same side. And there we have added the last set of beads for this row. Now we want to go up through this side bead, which is the first bead of the last set we added, and that prepares us to add the next row, which we will add 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we find that first bead again and we go through it in the same direction as the first threading. And we're going to add 1, 2, that's background colors. Now we always go through 4 beads, so we added 2. We know we need to go through 2. So we want the side bead of that previous set from our previous row. Plus we want the bead that our string is currently coming out of. And if you find things are getting loose, just work and the beads sort of pushing them apart until it all tightens up. And now we want to be coming out of this top bead, so we're going in the direction that where we're beading to. So we're going to go through our side bead here, the top bead, plus this side bead here, as our string is coming out on the same side as our previous row. So our string is coming out here, so we're going to add our next 2 beads in this order. So we need a design color and a background color. Then we're going to connect. We want to go through that top bead of the last set we just added. Plus the side bead that's connecting it to our previous row. And then we want to go through our new top bead, which is the first bead of the 2 we just added. Now our string is coming out on this side, where we're going to add in this order. So we need a design, followed by a background. Then we'll go through the side bead of our previous row that connects our piece to the previous row, plus the top bead of the last set. Then we need to work around to the top of the new, so we need to go through our outer side bead and then our new top. Now we're going to add the last 3, and our string is coming out on this side, so we're going to add 1, 2, 3. And as our string is coming out on this side, we want to enter the bead from this side. And now we want to work our way to be coming out on this side of the piece so we can add our next row. So we will go through all 3 beads we just added again. And real quick, just to make this a little easier for you to see what I'm doing, I'm going to take the tape off of this other end of mine, and I am going to secure it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a figure 8, threading through the beads in a figure 8. Now we're back where we started, and just to make sure that it is secure enough, I'm going to go through the 3 beads here on the end of this row as well. And then back through the bead where we started. And then careful not to clip your other string. You want to snip off the excess, and that makes the piece a little easier to see where you are and where you're going. And then we'll tighten it up. Alright, now this time our string is coming down along our row. So it's coming down this way, so we're going to add 1, 2, 3 beads to our string. So we need 2 background colors and 2 design colors and a background color. Then we're going to find the bead string our string is coming out of, and go through it so that our string is coming out on the same side. And now for this row, we need to add these 3 beads at the end. So we want to work our way around to this side of the beads we just added. So you're going to go through all 3 beads you just added. Now our string's coming in towards our previous row, so we will add our 3 in this order. So we need 3 background color. Then we find that bead that our string is coming out of. We go through it so our string is coming out on the same side. That adds the end of this row. Now we're going to go down through the side bead of our previous row. And out through the bead of the last set we just added. And now we're ready to begin adding the rest of the row. Now our string is coming out away from our previous row, so we're going to add 1, 2. So that is design followed by a background. Then we're first going to go through the bead that connects us to the previous row, and then through the bead that our string is coming out of. Now we want to work our way around, so we're heading in the direction we need to be going. So we'll go through the outside side bead, our top of the current row, and the side bead of our previous row. Now we're coming out from our previous row, so we're going to add 1, 2. Need a background and a design. And we go through the top bead of our previous set we just added, the side bead of our previous row, and then we go through the top bead of the set we just added, and we're ready to add the next set. And as we're coming out away from our previous row, we're adding these two in this order. And we connect first to our previous row. Then we go through the top bead of our last set. Now we'll thread through the 2 beads we just added. Plus the next side bead of our previous row. And as we're coming out from our previous row, we're going to add in this order. Now we'll go through the top of our last set of beads, plus the side bead of our previous row. Now we'll go through the top bead of the last set we just added. And now we're coming away from our previous row, so we're going to add in this order. Then go through the top bead of the last set we added. And now our next row is shorter, so we want to be coming out of the second side bead of the row we just finished. So as our string is coming out on the side we want to be on, all we need to do is go down through 1 bead, and we're coming out that second side bead. If we were coming this side, we would need to work down through 1, 2, and then up through the second side bead, and we'd be going this direction. But we're coming down, so because we're coming down, we're going to add our first set of beads in this order. A design and 2 background. Then we want this bead that our string is coming out of, we want to go through it in the same direction, so our string is coming out on the same side. And there we've added our first set for this row. Then we want to go through the first bead we just added, and our string is coming away from our previous row, so we're going to add in this order. Now we're going to go through the side bead of our previous row and the bottom bead of our last set. Then we're going to go down through the side bead of the set we just added and through the bottom or top bead, depending on which direction you're holding your piece. And we want to go through the side bead of our previous row. Now as we're coming out the side bead, we're going to add the next set in this order. Now we're going to go through the top bead of our previous set, and then the side bead of our previous row. And we've added, now we want to go through that first bead or top of the set we just added. And we're coming away from our previous rows, so we're going to add these two in this order. Now we want to go through the side bead of our previous row and the top bead of our last set, plus the two beads we just added, and then up through the next side bead of our previous row. And because we're coming out of the side bead, we're going to add our last two beads in this order. Then we go through the top bead of our previous row. And now our two beads are connected. So what we want is, again, our next row is shorter, so we want to be coming out of this second bead. So instead of going up and around the beads we just added, we're going to go down through the previous set of beads and out, and then up through that second bead on the side of our previous or just finished row. And as we're coming up towards the end, we're going to add these in this order. And then we see where our string's coming out, and we go through so that our string's coming out on the same side. We've added, now we want to go through all three beads we just added. Get our string on the correct side for the next set. Then we go through the side bead of our previous row. And as we're coming out the side bead, we'll add these two in this order. Now we'll go through that top bead of our previous set of beads, then the side bead of our previous row and out through the top bead we just added. And now as we're coming away, we will add away we will add the last two in this order. Now we want to go through the side bead of our previous row, then through the top of our last set, and at this point our next row is shorter, so we want to be going through that second bead, so we'll just go down through it. And here you want to see which direction your string is coming out. We're coming out this way, so we're going 1, 2, 3 for the last 3 beads. And then we will go through that top, or the bead our string is coming out of, and we have finished our letter square. Now again, I'm going to do the figure 8, but because I have enough, I'm going to go 3 sets instead of just 2. So just like with the figure 8, you want to make sure to weave back and forth. And what you can do is you can count the middle bead you go through, so that's 1, 2, that would be the regular figure 8, and we're going to go one more set, 3, and then you head back the direction you came from, and once you return to where you started, you can then clip off the excess and there you have your letter square. Hope you enjoyed.